There's been a lot said about the terrible, terrible cover-up that appears to have happened by numerous governments relating to the euphemistically called grooming gangs. And of course, because of the platform that this video is going on, I can't call them the correct name, but we all know what I'm talking about. And as I said, I've researched this. I've looked very closely into what's happened. I've spoken to survivors. I've read the reports. So I know a bit about the grooming gangs, as they're called. I know what backgrounds they come from. We had many of their details when we did the films up in Telford. There was hundreds of them. But that's not what I want to talk about tonight. I want to talk about there's hundreds of MPs, and I want to talk about the hundreds of MPs that decided it was a good idea to vote against an inquiry into the grooming gangs, as they're called. Now, they're going to pay a price for that. Not physically, because we're not into violence. We're not going to threaten people. That's not what we're about. They're going to pay a massive price at the next election. And there's a way we can do that. Many of you have signed the pledge. If you haven't signed the pledge, please go and sign the pledge.org.uk, because I'll tell you how this is going to be relevant. The minute we've got about 65,000 people signed up, which is good, because it's been in short order. We haven't spent a penny on marketing or advertising. It's been done totally organically, and I just want to thank everyone that signed it and ask you, if you have signed it, please share it with someone else and start talking about the pledge. Because the pledge is a mechanism that we can use to call these MPs to account. These MPs that either abstained or voted against the public inquiry. It doesn't matter whether the Labour Party whipped. It doesn't matter whether Keir Starmer abstained, because an abstention is as bad as a negative vote, even though the whole point of abstaining is, I haven't really made my mind up. Everybody in that parliament should have voted for a public inquiry. This is the parliament that's just voted for, well, euphemistically called assisted dying. We all know that means bumping off granny. But this parliament couldn't sign off on exposing and shining a deep light into the darkness of the grooming gangs. And this is what we can do. Those 344, I think it was, MPs that didn't vote for the amendment to have a public inquiry, what I want to happen is I want everybody in those constituencies to know. So what we're going to do, we've made a database of every single MP, and every single contentious issue between now and the next election, we're going to put a little black mark next to the MPs, next to the names of the MPs who sin against the pledge. They basically decide not to do what's in the pledge. And of course, we cover the grooming gangs in the pledge quite extensively. So what we're going to do, we're going to make a column that says, voted against grooming inquiry. And what we'll do, we'll put a little tick in the box, and then when it comes to election time, we will email everyone in that postcode area, letting those people know that these MPs did not vote for the public inquiry. So you can make your decision. It makes it very easy on deciding who you're going to vote for, because straight away you can say, well, I'm not going to vote for that guy, which were the Labour Party, and some weird Conservatives that didn't vote for it for some strange reason. All of those people will be exposed, and we'll be emailing everybody on our database, telling them exactly how they voted on that issue and other issues. Now, with 65,000 people, that can actually make a difference, believe it or not, in marginal seats. We can actually win. If it's a hung parliament, you can actually swing an election with as few as 65,000 votes if they were all scattered in little marginal seats. But it's very unlikely. So what we really need, we need the pledge to get up to over 1 million, maybe 2 million. That's what we need. 2 million people signed up on the pledge. And if we get that, then we're in a position where we can influence the next election so that good MPs are getting voted in instead of bad MPs. Because we're going to cover loads of topics. But that's the first one we're going to do. And we're working on the database already. The database is done. We have the database of every single MP in the United Kingdom. We know exactly where they live in terms of the postcode area that they serve. And I should say, not where they live, don't care where they live. But we know exactly where they serve, what constituencies they serve, what the postcode is. and we have a database of people in those areas. But for this to be massively effective, we need a couple of million people signed up to the pledge. So guys, like the pledge, share the pledge. Let's deal with these MPs that have become apologists and people that want to cover up the grooming scandal, and let's change the UK using the pledge over the next 4 years. See you all soon.